anyways, welcome back to another episode of the Juan Keir podcast. I'm
Juan.
Keir, and this is Juan.
Okay, thanks.
That was for a bit. It's not because I'm stupid. So,
I mean,
well, okay, we can agree to disagree on my intellect level. But
Well, yeah.
speaking about oopsie doopsies, maybe you'd care to talk about your recent.
so yeah, I wanted to. So we want I want to say that this channel is a journey about educating ourselves, and we had to admit that we are not infallible and we can always be learning more. And I think that there's a great example here of my fallibility, and it's the purchase of this book. I was interested in reading the book Capital in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty, as it says here in the title of the book, because it talks about what we've been talking about the inevitable rise of income and wealth inequality in the capitalist system without any changes in it. And so I bought this book to learn and started reading, and it's that's weird. It feels very summary wise, for some reason. And then he starts speaking of the third person of the author, and I'm like, wait a minute, you bought Amakat's analysis to Capital in the 21st Century. And this is the actual one. It's a huge fucking tome. It's 750 pages. I'm 90 pages in, maybe more 100, but around there. And super interesting book actually. I'll leave it to you after I'm finished with it, probably in August. Well, that's actually gonna be near when this podcast goes up actually. But yeah, this is a spectacular case of I'm fallible. I'm very fallible.
But we are honest. We do admit.
We are honesty over everything.
Exactly.
Well, I wanted to give it to you to introduce, or if you want to talk about any topics or something.
I think with the idea of capital in the 21st century, at least from what I've gleaned from a quick skim read of the book, it's the idea that I think things for the lower, let's say 80%, hasn't exactly improved all that much. But for the top percent, the upper echelons of capitalist society, things have been, they're doing quite well.
It's a lot better, yeah.
But we're not doing so well. And I think maybe one of the best examples of this recently is the ultra extravagant, lavish wedding in Venice. Jeff Bezos and I don't know who the wife is.
It's Spanish actually, a Spanish woman. This is a Spanish name. I don't know really who she is. I'm not into the gossip or .com.
Yeah, we're not the yellow
E-news.
We're not the yellow pages or the blue pages. But that was a lavish wedding. I think I saw an estimated figure was $56 million was spent on that
Jesus. But listen, this is my argument. It's better that they spend that money and create jobs for people than it is for them to just save it and and make other assets more expensive. It is ugly, but it genuinely creates some jobs. So I'm in that sense, it's but it's the problem isn't having something lavish, right? The problem is having something lavish while people are doing worse and worse, right? Because I think if people were doing better and better, they wouldn't care that other people are showing off their wealth, because they'd be well, my life is improving, right? But I think that lavishness is an issue only in contrast to people having to be more and more austere, right? And in that sense, I wouldn't criticize the lavishness if it wasn't because people doing worse, right?
Well, but maybe
me personally, I don't know.
Maybe it's not lavishness that's at fault here, really. It's kind of the extremity of it, the extremeness of it. Because, on our wedding days, presumably, if we ever get married.
If we ever had it seems a long ways off for me.
It seems a long ways off. But, you want to make it a lavish affair, enjoyable, but to the extent of 56 million, that's no longer lavish, that's extravagant, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it's another thing. One thing is to spend that much money on one wedding, but another thing is to host have the entire city of Venice cordoned off.
I mean, yeah, that is crazy. That part is actually crazy, but the fact that you limit people's lives, you're so powerful and rich that you can just tell the entire city, you're hey, fuck off, it's my wedding, I'm doing what I want. That is an abuse of power that is like more than the lavishness. I think that's the issue. Because you can just have it like in a how do you say like thing like in a field somewhere like in Tuscany,
like a country state.
in the countryside, and like it'll be great, it'll be super nice. You can spend 56 million certainly, but like you're not bothering anyone else, right? Or maybe like one farmhand is being bothered by the music.
The sheep always remember the poor animals.
What I want to talk about more about the wedding, and it's like again I didn't see too much, but like the one thing I did see is like people like I think like the Kardashians and like other actors and stuff like that were invited, and it's like, are these your friends? You know what I mean? Like are you just like, does he have real friends? Does he have many real friends? Is my question, because the invitation's like, I think it's like a 300% wedding, which is not like, it's not little, but it's not that much, right? Especially for a $56 million wedding. So if you're spending like invitations on like these celebrities, like that I assume you don't go like Sunday dinner with frequently. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Kardashians and Bezos have like, I don't know, they play like board games together. It could be the case, but I don't imagine it is. And I kind of wanted to speak about like the soullessness of that. Like it's the moment you should be like spending the rest of your life and celebrating like the happiness of your life. And yet like the people that you invite are just like for like flexing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's a good picture of the wedding of, I think it was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
He was invited. He showed up, but you know, the picture I saw of him was him with a hat pulled down to avoid being recognized. And I think if the fact you're attending makes you feel like I have a reason to try and hide the fact you're there, like I think something might be off. Like at a wedding, do you think it's normal for like an invited guest to try and hide the fact that they're at the wedding?
I mean, yeah, I don't think that's particularly common. I don't know, like, is this like a weird play by the actors to like get on Amazon Prime shows or something? Because it's like, because you have like this reputational issue, right? Like it's like that like people will get mad at you for going, right? That's why DiCaprio's trying to hide his face. I'm interested in like maybe like the studios are like, please go to this, like it'll like raise our chances of getting like this green lit by Amazon. But my perspective is, yeah, like that is interesting, but I think it's just sad in a way. Like honestly, this is like, I look at Musk a little bit and I'm like, you cannot be a happy man. like no happy man is tweeting these insane things at like the worst times ever. Like you have all this fucking money, but he generally doesn't seem fucking happy.
I don't think. I think he's effectively managed to surround himself with either sycophants or people who are too afraid to say anything, and that's not going to lead to any. As you said, like it's soulless. There's no depth. There's no meaning to any of his relations. And if anything, if what they're saying is true about his increased drug use and ketamine, I think he's probably like trying to find a way to like, you know, salve the pain inside. Hopefully, hopefully it works, because otherwise, I think he's actually starting to suffer like health wise.
Yeah, and I actually want to talk about like the negative effects of like money on the billionaires themselves, because I think this like immense wealth actually separates you from people. Because it's like, I saw like this joke, and it's like, there's like this clip, and I'll put a link to it in the podcast, but it's like a trillionaire can't how do you say like how do you say when you relate to someone? He can't relate to his billionaire friends. It's like the billionaires are talking about buying islands, and it's like, I bought the planet Jupiter last thing. And it's like, yeah, of course, there's no like, if you're able to do all these things, and there's what, like only 1,000 people in the world that can possibly relate to your life experience, then that normally means that like, if those people don't fuck with you or you don't fuck with them, you're gonna have the amount of people you can actually relate to is like so small, which makes you like a social pariah almost by definition. And I think like it makes them worse people, and then they do worse things because like they're in like this sad state of affairs. Like it's like the crazy thing is inequality is not just bad for like the poor people, it's also bad for them. I'd argue, because I think that they'd be a lot happier having 50 million instead of 50 billion. And they'd be just like, you'd be able to do everything you would want in the world right? With 50 million, that's more than enough money for whatever you want. And at the same time, like, most people wouldn't know who you are. They wouldn't criticize you all the time. They wouldn't, like, you'd be able to walk down the street with no problem. Like, I genuinely think it makes life worse for them. Like, unless they're, like, always been, like, power trip egomaniacs, which maybe they've always been to a point, but I think, like, the separation from people only grows that.
Maybe it's a thing that as they seem to kind of accumulate more money and wealth, power, resources, maybe it is something that starts to evolve. It's not just about making money; it's about improving, your status. It's no longer about having money to actually spend it, because at some point
it's like legacy control.
Yeah, because I mean, as you said, like with 50 million, like unless you're trying to really like break the bank, like just gold plating everything, like you're not gonna spend like all that much more.
I think we could gold plate this entire department with 50 mil. I think 50 mil, and we would have like 25 mil left over. Like, I think that's how much money that is, right? And this,
as you said, like even if we went like all out and just said like, okay, I'm gonna get like diamond encrusted, I don't know, shoes. Like, there's only so much shoe you can diamond encrust.
Until you can't walk. It was like the Kanye mask, like diamond mask thing.
But at some point, it's no longer about money for, say, more practical purposes. It's about status, image.
Yeah, power, control, status, ego. Yeah. But like, what I think is like generally like they'd be happier without all of that, right? And the world would be a better place also, which important part there. So.
I did see one idea. I mean, it's kind of a joke idea, but you ever play like Call of Duty or something?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I was never that much into shooters, but
well, like, you know the idea of like the prestige system?
No.
In essence, in Call of Duty, when you level up, you go unlocking like new weapons, attachments, whatever, like practical improvements. And then once you reach a max level, you can decide to like restart again. And in terms of functionality, like for yourself, it's pointless. Like there's nothing to gain from it because you lose all of your weapons. You have to start again, right? But you do get like a cool little like a symbol, like a calling card. And I saw an idea of someone saying maybe with billionaires they should do like a prestige system. Once you get like a bill, like they start over again. And then, or like,
if it's so easy, they can do it again, right?
Well, maybe not start again, but it's like once you get like a bill, like all extra money is like completely given away, and then you get like a plaque.
That's cool actually. It's like good job, you did it.
Yeah,
now you can do it again. It's like the YouTube plaque.
And if it's that easy, as some people claim it.
Yeah, exactly.
Should be no problem.
Should be no problem. They can just do it again. That's a funny way to look at it. Boo.
But I think, what about, I haven't been too up to date with the US, but the passing of the big, beautiful bill, apart from being a kind of lazy name, I think
it's a great name for a terrible thing. I mean, I love Trump's naming things. Like, I love and hate it, right? Because I think that like Sleepy Joe is just a banger, right? Lying Ted Cruz, Lil Marco Rubio. I love, like, I think, this is what I'll say about Trump. He is one of the greatest marketers in human history. I think few people have been as good at marketing in life and everything as that man. He truly understands the value of like slogans and repetitions and putting it through. And I can just like, beautiful is a very like Trumpian word. So, yeah, but like, yeah, the thing itself is terrible and it's going to be very, very bad. Because it does the opposite what we want what we're like saying in this podcast, which is like increase taxes on the wealthy and decrease them on the rich, and decrease them on the poor, on the working class.
It's not just taxes though; it's really, I think, more concern than taxes.
Oh, like the defunding of Medicare.
Yeah.
In the U.S., that's the problem.
I mean, that's going to be a problem because I think in the next 10 years it'll affect about 10 million people being covered by it, and these are the people who would, like,
but
if you're being
the crazy thing is like I don't think like the hits like start like being felt until 2 years within like the presidency, so like people start getting mad when a new president comes along. Like they're
gonna be by like midterms, like
Yeah, but like
congressional
I think like the very cynical Republican math here is that they're gonna try to make like they're gonna throw the bad situation to the Democrats, like to the next incumbent, right? Because they're gonna have they're putting the next president with like this huge and bigger deficit. They're giving them like people that are mad because they lost healthcare, and like and then like but they're happy but because they had like lower taxes and no taxes on tips for a while, and they're like, well, guys, like we need more taxes because the deficit is going. But they're probably gonna inflate the deficit. That's what they're gonna do.
The thing about taxes is a previous Trump tax cut that benefited the rich primarily.
Mm-hmm.
It also had like a minor tax cuts for like lower incomes.
Yeah.
But in 2027, that's when it stops for them.
Yeah.
So they've already done this before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 2 years time. So again, like they're just
it's very
laying
cynical.
the problems for later. Like,
and it's like it's incredible how like they're like making the poor foot more of the bill than the rich, like more and more so. Like it's truly disastrous society. I genuinely think that a lot of Trump's base thought he was more of a populist, like more like working class oriented, and he's shown to be anything but, right? He's like brings jobs back, and his way to bring jobs back is tariffs, right? That's how he's a populist. But tariffs are terrible because like in the short term, yes, you protect jobs, but in the long term, it makes your enterprises uncompetitive because you don't have to compete with the global market to work inside of your own market. And it's a lot what happened in Argentina, for example, right? Like very Peronist thing to do tariffs, and they are disastrous for your like they think they're protectionist, but they just make everything worse. And honestly, the bill gets footed to the customer, right? Because like companies have to pay it, and that means that usually gets passed to the consumer, or the corporations make less profit. Which, I mean,
very rarely choose that option.
I mean, I saw a Johnny Harris video recently about like how rarely they do these options. Like, you know, there was like a rise in price of eggs, and it was like a huge conversation earlier this year. And you know how like they said it's because of like the swine flu or something. I saw like a statistic that when the flu happened, like what do you mean like okay, so like the flu for the bird flu happened, and so it's not swine flu, bird flu obviously. When the bird flu happened, like obviously like some chickens died, and so like the price of eggs, the cost of making eggs went up. You would think like, oh, okay, so that's why the price of eggs went up, because like they needed to keep the profit margins. One company's like one of the biggest like egg producers in the world, in the US, they tripled their profits during that time. They tripled it. They used the fact that people expected higher prices because of the bird flu to triple their profits, and then it's like how can we think that corporate consolidation isn't an issue? It's such a fucking issue that they can just do this to you and just like make you pay, or like hand over foot. And it's like nothing really changed. They probably didn't even hire that many more people. They just got more money by making you pay more. And
They did the same thing here in Spain a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah, the government decided because of like during or after the pandemic, and then more. This is when it really hit harder. With like inflation shooting up because of energy prices, they tried to cut down rising prices in like staple goods such as bread, oil, maybe eggs. I don't think this was the egg crisis of the last few years, but they decided to like cut down on value-added taxes for these goods, with the idea that this would hopefully lower prices. No, the prices not only didn't go lower, they didn't stay stable. They went up still, and the company said, "Oof, like just because we get a few tax cuts here doesn't mean we can lower prices. If anything, they went up. So money hand over our feet." I'm thinking if that in essence has to be price gouging.
I mean, it is, right? And it's like that's what happens with like when like I was talking to this about a friend yesterday. Like as compound interest grows and people get richer exponentially, like they have more power to buy over their competitors, which means that in capitalism, monopolies, like it tends towards monopolies, right? And when you have monopolies, you can do that however you want, right? You can just put whatever price you want, and people have to pay. So like I'm actually like super capitalistic on everything that isn't like a basic necessity of survival, except like water, food, housing, education. It's not a necessity, but it's like so necessary to like be a human in the civilized world that I almost put it up there. Like healthcare, obviously. Everything else, I'm like, I don't care if some corporation is like doing $150 for video games. Either it will get bought or it will not get bought. But people don't need that video game to survive, right?
I'm afraid I disagree on that.
You disagree on that one, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind it. It's like, right, like you like
But there's no like crushing need.
exactly, and they can just buy like you like maybe they just won't sell it like because the issue with capitalism is like, are you familiar with the term like elasticity of demand?
It's been a while. If you could refresh
Okay.
me and the viewers.
So the elasticity of demand is how much price changing decreases or increases demand, right? So it's like if I raise like the price of like a bottle of water, right, and it's €1, and I raise it to 20 euros, like how much likely are you to spend that? And it's like it's very elastic because you're very unlikely to buy that bottle of water now. Like, I mean, if it was completely monopolized, you would still do that, right? Because it would be monopolized, but it's not monopolized these days. So I'm just buying another bottle of water, right? And so like that's elasticity. Like, but how about healthcare? What if healthcare costs $500 and then I increase it to 2,000? It's like kind of needed to survive, to do your job, right? Because it's like, yes, like $2,000 is a lot of money, but let's say that's like a leg injury and you're like someone who moves furniture.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose your job if you don't do that. And so like it's a very inelastic thing because like the price change does not like affect like the demand that much, right? Yeah, which is why Martin Shkreli can just like raise the price of insulin like 10,000% or whatever he did, because like demand won't change that much because it's a life-saving medication. And basically everything that you can't say no to works poorly under capitalism when capitalism is agglomerated, right? Because there's a lot of room for abuse. It used to work well because like the like minimum wage was higher and the distribution of money was better, as we talked about in the earlier podcast. It used to work better because consumers had more purchasing power and things were less consolidated. But now it's like ripe for abuse.
It's kind of weird. Like in the past, it used to be that I think consumer goods. I think that term used to be white goods, like fridges, TVs, irons. These things used to be way more expensive. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say like a sign of luxury, but like a sign of doing well if you can afford these things.
No, for sure.
Now, I think, if anything, it's kind of going around like somewhat luxury goods or, well-off goods. And I'm not talking about fridges anymore. I mean, well, fridges are actually kind of expensive still. Like the good ones.
The good ones, yeah.
All these fridges were like ice cubes.
Yeah.
That
You can buy a fridge in Amazon for like $100, but it's not the greatest fridge.
But in the past, what used to be cheap was housing and food, and cars used to be cheaper-ish.
Exactly,
And
it's
now
that.
It's the other way. Like
That's
now,
why it works
now
well.
we can buy like all these, like we can buy TVs now,
Yeah.
like dirt cheap, but no houses.
Exactly. That's the natural thing that I guess we get better with production, right? Like the things that like we don't need, that we can't say no to, get cheaper because we have the ability to say no to them. It's like, fuck you for offering like a TV on $5,000, right? I'm not buying it. Or it's like, it's like I can just say no to it, right? But housing, all that, the prices of necessities is increasing because like it can be used to abuse and we have to pay it. We can't say no to it. Like, and that's a big issue because like the whole like consumerism is the best form of slavery kind of thing, right? Where it's like you're distracted and like doing the work for like the elite class and keeping the system chugging along happily. But eventually people will realize that they're like, I don't want to call it, I don't think that's like actual slavery at all, but like I get the idea a little bit of why people say that. Exploitative, yeah.
It's better. Yeah. I mean, because with slavery, it's like slavery as a concept has evolved very drastically over the years. I think most people, when they think of slavery, have more of a like chattel slavery idea. Like,
yeah.
But slavery in its many horrid forms, it can go from like like complete slavery, like chattel slavery, like for life, inherited through blood, to like I guess you call it economic slavery, like indentured servitude. I don't know if like what we're in today would be slavery. It's exploitative, but is it slavery in the sense like you really can't escape from it? Not really, because if you get money, you can like leave the system.
Yeah,
but,
and you can just like you can choose not to participate in the system. Like it'll probably be bad for you, but it's not like you have to participate in the system currently. Like we live, like honestly, this like society's currently. I was like, I don't know. Like, I was just walking today, like around the city, like with a huge smile on my face, listening to music, and I'm like, man, like the amount of freedom that we have, like in our current world, is like so beyond what it used to be, like in a lot of other places in the world, with like so much wealth, right? Because like you probably had a ton of freedom if you were like how do you say, like some random person in the middle of like England, and you had like a farmhouse and there was no one around you, so it's like no one paid you attention, so you're probably really super free. Like if you weren't part of like a landlord's like work like thing, right? But like the lack of attention that you had, or we have to go like really far back, like pre-medieval times, where like the amount of organization was a lot smaller. Like there wasn't a lot of like human organization. Obviously freedom is good and bad because you don't have anyone protecting you, you can get raided, all that stuff. But like we have like they had a lot of freedom, but they didn't have a lot of security, and we have like so much security and freedom simultaneously. And I just think like, wow, it's so good, let's try to keep it. And I'm like, I don't know, I was just appreciative of that today. I wanted to mention it.
I mean, security without freedom, I think for a lot of people would probably be like in a vacuum. If they had to choose, would you want total freedom or like total security? Yeah, if you can only have one or the other, I think a lot of people would still pick security.
I agree that a lot of people would pick it. I think I prefer freedom. It's more dangerous, right? You can die. And maybe like when something happens to you, you change your mind. You're like, nope, go back to security. I mean, that's a classic thing, right? Like socialists love to say like scratch a liberal, get a fascist, something like that, right? And it's like,
I've never heard this phrase.
I think it's like something like that. It's like scratch a liberal and you'll find a fascist, and it's like a little bit of what people say like is happening like in Israel and something like that. It's like, I mean, I don't want to say they were scratched. Like 1,000 people is a lot of people to kill, right? But like the response has been pretty fascistic, and like for a country that like would be somewhat considered liberal a little bit before this whole thing happened. I think not super, but like you would consider it like a liberal country. And it's a little what's happening. Like obviously freedom is what everyone wants when they have security, and I guess security is what everyone wants when they have freedom. But it's like but like right now I feel like freedom would be preferable for me, but obviously like things can happen that will change my mind, you know what I mean? Like they kill my neighbor, I'm like, all right, we need to put a wall.
Yeah.
What would you choose?
If I had to choose, I think freedom, because security is one of these things that you want it in moderation, but then too much security starts to like kind of really cut into every other aspect of life. And if I chose like absolute freedom, if freedom was the only choice on the table, the dangers and risks of, as you say, like living untethered or not living under the protection of like an institution or a government or a state, it would be bad. But at the same time, like at least you can, in a situation of absolute freedom, you can actually go ahead and start up your own system, like make up your own security force.
I mean, it's the inevitable anarchy turns into anything else but anarchy given enough time, right?
The thing about anarchy is just, as much as I don't really agree with them on the ideas, like on the more political side, like I don't believe in the idea that everybody can live together without like a system. I feel like they'd be given a really unfair like go at things, because anytime some anarchist movement starts and like actually starts to gain traction, they're really like put under the scope. Like they put the thumb on them quick, I think here in Spain in the Civil War there was an actual like anarchist like commune built up in Asturias. An ex mining town got like taken over, and I don't think even the Republicans like them, and they got ruthlessly wiped out by like the conflict. But other anarchist movements, people obviously get scared if they start to take power, like get more influential, because to people who actually have things to lose, the anarchists mean like the end, But to people who genuinely have nothing, like the anarchist at worst is like a slight detriment. Like things get
at
worse
worst,
because they lose security. But like the sky's the limit.
In this case, exactly. Like the ability to that would be the true dream. I mean, not American. I'm saying like American dream, like world dream, where you can literally be whatever you want because there's no system gonna put you in jail.
I think I always like when you speak with like I've spoken with some anarchists and no like authority, right? It's like no authority, no security forces. It's like, what about when like people do like really horrid things? It's like, are you gonna let them be out of principle, or are you gonna like push them aside and keep them away from other people? It's like, well, yeah, we have to do that. It's like, so you do believe in authority?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the only like real way that works is like you have like superheroes, like vigilantes, is like, and they're just like accepted, right? And it's like once the vigilante becomes the evil, like you either die a hero or live you're long enough to be the villain. There comes another vigilante that kills that vigilante, and then that's the cycle, right? It's like, so like vigilantes maintain the justice, and it's like, all right, we like you, so we won't kill you, and then another, but like when they dislike the vigilante, then they kill him, and then they have another vigilante. I guess that would be the system, right? In an anarchical world. Seems a little crazy because I feel like the amount of revenge killings that would incite would probably not be good, but it's interesting at least.
Actually, on the topic of like revenge killings, a really curious case of like law enforcement was back in the day in Anglo-Saxon England, to prevent like all these bloody like family feuds and like blood killings. They instituted this idea. I think it was called Danegeld, or Bloodgeld, which means like blood money.
Yeah.
And they said, look, like if somebody kills someone of yours, like you love them, like to prevent like all-out wars breaking out constantly, they just start paying you. And I think apparently this was effective, not because people didn't want to kill other people, it's because like being like fined heavily to murder someone was like actually hurting people's wallets. Obviously, like you can't allow that nowadays. Like imagine that. Like
I heard, like I saw a video recently that thing was like kind of like a precursor to the monetary system, because like I don't know if it's true or not, but they were arguing like the receipts that you have to get like after like you kill someone, like it's like a bank note, like this is good for like 3 chickens from this person, you know what I mean? And it's like all right, he killed your brother, so now he owes you 4 cows, and this note says this is worth 4 cows. You know what I mean? And so like this is like, I don't know, this is like, I don't know if it's true. I think it's an interesting thing to consider.
I mean, I don't think it's true because it sounds a bit outlandish. It could be, but I did see, one place that actually had like a really weird like promissory note system. I think it's like some island in the Pacific. They have like giant like stone circles that they're kind of like coins but made out of like genuine like boulders.
Mm-hmm.
And they use it as like a payment system for like debts, but they just say like, oh look dude, like do you know like that rock under the tree? Like that one's mine for now. No, but like they actually like they really like genuinely believe in the system.
I mean, they probably carved it to like have a name or something.
No, but it's literally like one of these societies that does like, I'm not saying like they're primitive. I'm just saying they don't have like anything remotely like modern. Like they don't have like bureaucracies. But they just say like that rock is now technically mine. I'll just transfer that now to you. And they have such faith.
You have to love the honor system. You have to love.
It is such like well-respected honor system that apparently there's a rock underwater and nobody knows where it is because it's sunk to the bottom of the ocean, but they still use it. They just say like that one, like that's like they still.
This is modern monetary theory when there's no gold standard. It's like that rock that we have no access to has value and indicates value.
I found it genuinely like really curious and really interesting.
That's so interesting.
I'll see. I think we could probably. I'll dig out.
We'll paste a link and put in the description. Yeah.
It's like to have such faith in such a system, an honor system with giant boulders that you can't even.
I think it's such a great metaphor for like.
I think modern economic.
Yeah,
theory
for like
we'll have a stroke if it tries to understand it.
I think like it's essentially the same thing, just like everyone operating on faith and like agreeing that like our money has certain value and that like your unit of work is worth this and then you can transfer it. It is based on trust. It is based on your ability that like when you go to the store, this paper that you have will be accepted by someone else, right? So there's a destruction of that system. And it's like you go and you try to give money to that person and then he doesn't accept it, like the value disappears, right? If that happens like all over society. I think it's that interesting, like how all our like progress is actually based on us agreeing on something and believing in value that is just perception, right? It's not even a thing that you can eat, that you can consume, that you can listen to. You can't do anything with the thing. It's just an idea. And I think that's super interesting. And because it allows for so much growth. It allows for everything to work better if we just agree that like, yeah, we can just rotate this money, you have this much, and then we do these things. I think it works really well. Yeah.
Like, what about like the chocolate coins?
The chocolate coins?
We could eat those. So, like, we could actually have a system where you can literally eat money. And that will improve its value.
Would that improve its value?
No.
Or it would be like, hey, I gave you that coin, and it's like, I don't have it. Like, do you see it on me? It's like the toilet, you pooped it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it would lose its value because like people could eat the coins you give them. Yeah, but and then you couldn't prove they ate them because you're not gonna like check their stool samples.
Yeah, but the guys with a giant boulder under their seat, they have faith in that system.
They have
like, why can't we do that?
Why can't we? That's interesting. I think I want to cut it like a little short. I don't know if you have something more you want to talk about because we're I think already like nearing the 30-minute mark.
Nothing that comes to mind right now.
Well, I think this was an interesting conversation and hopefully illuminated something. We rambled on, but I like that. I like this conversational system. Like one of our listeners. I mean, he has a name and everything, but I'm not gonna say like the names of the people that have my close friends and family that have like written to me. Said like, oh, this should be more conversational. You should get like a beer maybe. And it's like, I thought about getting beer today, but my stomach from yesterday is not in the situation where I want to drink another
we also like
drop of alcohol.
We kind of want to keep it like a bit more like, we don't want to go for like that Joe Rogan or Andrew Tate.
Yeah,
like,
we don't.
Smoking cigars, whiskey on top. Because I feel like that would undercut our legitimacy.
Would it? I don't know. Like, okay, comment below. Would it undercut our legitimacy if I was drinking a beer?
No, not beer. I meant like whiskey.
Okay.
A beer, yeah, that's the working man's.
Again, like I don't think like consumption in its own sake is bad. I think like I get what you mean. Like showing luxury does seem like it undercuts the system, but at the same time, it's like really the problem. Like interestingly enough, I was talking to a friend about this. It's like. For the country, it's good if everyone spends a lot of money, but for the person, it's bad, right? Because like saving makes you richer, but like growth is drawn by consumption, and is done by because like if people didn't consume as much, there wouldn't be as many jobs because people wouldn't pay salaries when there's no profit, and so like society wise, it's actually good for people to be like a little bit irresponsible. Because it creates more jobs, funnily enough. And so there's like the paradox that's like, that like for you it's better, for society it's the other way around. And it's like, I don't know, maybe we should try to fix that paradox if it's possible. But I don't know. I think let's just call it there. That's a conversation for another podcast. And we want
to... And to our viewers, if you have any ideas you want want to see discussed in the show, we're more than willing to.
Of course.
Hear out.
I mean, we got like 0 questions last time, so hopefully we get one more than that this time. That's my goal.
If we get another
You think that
question next
you
time,
think that absolutely anyone is listening right now? I think they logged off when we said that we're gonna end the thing, right? Like if you're listening to this, comment I am listening to this, and put a question with that as well. Put a question like this is the proof that you got this far. Say I'm listening to this, and comment a question that you want to ask. All right. Well, we'll see you on the next one.
See you around.
Peace.